So before I dive in, I just want to give you this tiny little gift to have a look at. And imagine if on every billboard, in films, in adverts, on television, screens all over, in magazines, that this kind of image with this energy was given to us thousands and thousands, millions and millions of times over our lifetime, with a little bit of, a few words over the top of joyfulness and love and unity and care. How do you think that would affect your mind? Hello, it is Diane Cox here. Welcome back to my channel, Moon Fire Magic. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I am talking about something called nudge theory. Are you aware of being nudged on a daily basis with strange little machinations made by people in think tanks and rooms and places like the European Commission, the United Nations, the World Bank, governments in Germany, the UK, America? Are you aware that there is this thing called nudge theory based on a book by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, written in 2008. I think it's quite interesting that it's kind of 2008. It was called a lot of other things before then. Social engineering, propaganda, I think is probably the easiest one. So here it is. The nudge theory is basically these great people that have put a lot of thought and effort and money into, basically it's called choice architecture. Okay, they call it choice architecture. That means building a whole framework in order to make you think you have a choice or that you've made a choice, not realizing that that choice is basically built on the constant repetition of certain messages to influence your thought patterns, your mind, your behavior, how you act, the choices you make, the responses you have. And I think, we all think of propaganda more like it in war times, don't we? Or people trying to push a certain agenda. And now, obviously, it was easy in the World War II where they didn't have mass information going around the world. And they could tell us anything about what was happening in the trenches or in World War II, what was happening regarding the Germans, the Brits and whatever. But we would never really know what the truth was, would we? And then after many years, this truth comes out. Now, you've got something on a daily basis happening that is affecting everybody's, like I say, choices, responses, reactions. And you can think of things in the last few years where nudge has been applied, whether it's to make people think in a certain way about a certain country, about a certain war, about certain medical processes and procedures. If you look at how much our world and society is now architected and built and influenced by these people, and what's happened is they don't have to basically really coerce physically anymore. They just coerce this. I'm always saying about the mind. Keep your mind, keep your mind clear, keep your mind independent, do your own research. You can see it on everything, how they influence how certain world leaders will be seen or not seen. They'll influence how people will react to foods, drinks, mass kind of education, how they basically influence education. So kids get educated in order to turn their minds and accept certain behaviours or cultural differences or not differences, about gender, about sexuality, that all of this is actually built by people to tell us that we are going to accept this, this and this, even though our instinct knows fundamentally that it's wrong what they're saying and what they're trying to basically say about wars, or trying to get a whole world to agree with the violence and murder, senseless violence and murder, that we must agree with it, that we must agree with well, I better not say too much because the video will get pulled. But you think of all the things that you looked at in the past few years, and you think that's ridiculous, that's bonkers. And deep down, there's two ways we make a choice. It's an instinctual, automatic kind of response, or it's a more reflective response where you do a bit of research, it's kind of classic one they use is driving a car. In order to drive a car, you need to do various, you need to learn all about the car and the gears and speeds and the laws and what you have to do and all that kind of stuff. But quite funnily, when they use an example of nudge theory, they often use this example that they drew a little fly in urinals at Amsterdam airport in order to make men aim their urine in a more specific way. And I think that's hilarious, because it's like, well, that's a very interesting example to use, but you're using it to influence the world and how they feel about politics and how they can have a complete blind spot to actual facts. And because they've been nudged by the media, radios, films, films are a classic nudge. They tell you this agenda. They start showing you images on billboards of, things that they want to be incorporated into society. They put it in films, they put it on the television, they put it in chat shows, they put it everywhere. So you basically start thinking, oh, this is normal because this has been shown to me so much. This is a normal thing. So that's just completely acceptable. And instead of just going, well, but is that acceptable? Is that right? Have I done the research on this person? And I think especially with politics, when you look at how many kind of colour revolutions that have been carried out by certain countries. I won't name them. I'm sure you know the biggest colour revolution country in the world. And it's just like, just look at what they've done there. It's just like, and over and over and over and over. And then this narrative, oh, it's for your own good, it's for your safety, it's for the safety of others, or it's to keep peace. Well, it's like, oh, well, obviously, no, it's not, is it, actually? And to keep that mental acuity of being able to say, but it's not, is it? Dropping bombs on a country doesn't keep peace. It's an act of war. It's an act of aggressive violence. And the more you keep saying that to yourself, the more you kind of keep hold of your own brain, and keep hold of the wonder of your mind, because it's like, no, it's not. That isn't peace. It's you're trying to tell me something that is counterintuitive. It's violence. It's aggression. And so, and in education, well, I won't go into the education because obviously there's a lot to be said for the education. But every day this is happening. Every single day, nudge theory, social engineering, propaganda is going on to tell people how to think, what to think, how to behave, how not to behave. And there's lots of things that when you look at things and you go, well, that's ridiculous again. That of course it's not that. But we're being told that if you say certain words, that you're anti something or you're racist. Because your instinct is going, no, that's not racist. It's just an observation. It might be a race observation. It might be a race stereotype. And I always say race stereotypes are earned because people see repeated behaviours. I'm British, English, and Brits abroad. I think I've used this bore. People get completely out their head on alcohol. Hot country, drinking alcohol, act like complete idiots, and therefore there's a Brits abroad stereotype. When they're on holiday and they can't hold their booze, or they look like lobsters, drunk lobsters, kind of wandering around. And it's the same for other racial stereotypes. I don't drink alcohol and I don't act like that, but I still get lumped in with a Brit abroad, just because I'm English. And there's lots of other racial stereotypes, but we're like, oh no, it's racist. Is it racist to say, oh, Brits abroad, they can't hold their drink, or they end up like lobsters and they're blah blah this, that and the other? No, it's just an observation of a normal thing that people have seen repeatedly. So I just wanted to say that about the nudge theory, because it is quite a. They did a study, a kind of secret study, and they were basically looking to influence people, and the number of people they were looking at was 23 million in the UK, in America. It's not just like a few 100,000. 23 million people they did this little experiment on. So it could be who you're voting for, who you're not voting for, who you think should be in power or not. And you hear people just repeat stuff off the media because it's been fed. I recently heard I was in a conversation with someone and they were talking about Putin. Actually, they were talking about Putin and very disparaging about Putin. And I just said, well, have you done a lot of research on Putin? Have you done a lot of research on how everything came about with the Ukraine war? Have you looked at the whole NATO thing in America and all that? And they're just like blank face. It's like no, and it's not their fault. It's just because if people watch the news and they kind of watch it and they get told this nudge, this kind of idea influencing behaviour, how you think, then everyone becomes anti this or anti that or pro this or pro that. But have a look at it, and like I say, I just prefer the old word. It's just propaganda, and I think the difference is now it's not just information; it's making people feel that they've made the choice to think like this or act like that, when actually everything has been engineered, everything has been set up to set people up in order to fulfill an agenda that governments have around the world. Because like I say, this isn't just like a little thing that used in a local town hall. Top agencies use this in order to influence people. And when you look at how, I'll just say the word out loud because I don't think I'll get banned, the Epstein thing. And this whole thing about, everything's going to be disclosed, it's all going to be this, it's all going to be that. And then everyone's nudged to shut up, to forget it, to just close it down, it's not important, and then it just fades away out of the media. And while people with a decent mind are going, what happened about that? Why haven't they fulfilled their promises of when they said they would do this, that, and the other? Whereas a lot of people just go, it can't have been that important. It can't have been. It must have been just a bit of a wind up. It must have just been whatever. It's like, no, you've been nudged. I quite like the word nudged because it's actually it's kind of I don't know about nudged, more like shoved theory. Mind kind of brainwashing theory, and that's what it is. It's old brainwashing. It's like just wash what you know is feels right to you, and then basically ignore your intuition, your automatic, intuitive gut feeling something isn't right here. And then it's funny because when something comes out, say you're talking about a medical thing. And then, later on something comes out and everything that people were pushing was false and they were the fake newsers. And everyone who thought intuitively that's not right. It's not right to do that without all these normal things in place. But, it's like, oh no, just go along with it. Just agree with it. Just don't question. Don't use your mind. So, Yeah, so I just wanted to say about that today. Just it's more a video about keep questioning, keep alive, keep doing your research. If it doesn't feel right here, it probably isn't right. And your intuition, your instinct is loud, because that's another thing. There's this whole idea of divorcing people from nature and therefore their instinctual powers and senses. You know, just taking people out of nature, away from nature, onto a device. Don't look at the trees, don't look at the birds or the sky, don't think about crops, don't think about the moon and how everything's growing. Just stay in your basement with your phone. So this is more a video, just hang on to your mind and question everything. You know, question everything. You know, I've said this before, I don't believe anything, hardly anything now. And with the deep fakes and everything that you see, everything can be faked, everything can be just made up, videos, news, people, what they say, how they say it. So I think instinct is the key. It's a primal, ancient, wonderful skill that we have. So always listen to it. Don't believe everything you read, because most of it is absolute tosh. And do your own research. Get to know what's really going on. Hold on to your mind. If you think something that your kids are being taught at school is wrong and it's against the laws of nature, it probably is, and do something about it and counteract it with your kids. Whatever they're learning, you know, always counteract and always balance. You know, I don't like to get into arguments with people, but sometimes you just have to go, have you done your research? Do you know about this? Do you know about that act? Do you know what happened in this year? And people often don't. So anyway, that's my little thing for today. Don't be nudged. Stand strong and get out the way of those big poking fingers from places and anonymous people that we don't even know. And when you see that something is wrong and you know it's wrong, say it's wrong, and let's all stand up for the anti-nudge brigade. So thank you for watching. I'll be back soon. Take care now. Bye bye.